Story fairies, come and bring stories clear and true. Story fairies, come and bring stories to our story ring. Little Mouse lived with his parents in a house in the middle of the deep forest. Little Mouse had lived in this house his whole life, and he knew it well. He knew which board would squeak when he walked across it. He knew the way that the sun in the morning moved across the wall in his bedroom. He knew the best places to curl up and read a book on a chilly day. And he knew the outside too. He knew the yard and the forest around it. Little Mouse knew all the best hiding spots for hide and seek and the best places for finding mousy snacks to eat. Little Mouse loved his house. However, just the other day, his parents told him that they would be packing up everything in this house and taking it to a new house on the other side of the forest to a place Little Mouse had never seen. Little Mouse certainly did not like this idea, for he thought that his house was just fine and there was no reason to move. Then he really didn't like it when he saw his parents starting to pack everything into boxes. They packed up all of his games and his toys. They packed up most of his clothes and his books. They packed up all of their things too. They even packed up the kitchen. Little Mouse didn't like watching them pack, so he scampered to his room, closed the door, and sat in the middle of his bed. Usually this time of day, Little Mouse will be out playing in the forest. He was feeling too sad to do that today. So he sat on his bed and he made up a poem. I am a sad little mouse. I do not want to leave this house. The next morning, he went out into the main part of the house and found there were boxes everywhere. There were boxes lining the hallway. There were boxes all along the walls. There were boxes on the tables and even boxes on the couch. Little Mouse wanted to play with his toys, so he started to look for them. But he couldn't find any of them. He wanted to play with his favorite dump truck toy, and he wanted to wear his favorite green hat. He couldn't find them, and his parents told him that they'd already been packed. Little Mouse sat there in the middle of the floor, in his house full of boxes. I am a sad little mouse. I do not want to leave this house. The next morning, a moving truck arrived at Little Mouse's house, and he and his parents spent the day putting all the boxes in to the back of the truck and moving everything from one house to the other. They followed the moving van all the way across the forest to a place that Little Mouse had never seen before. And in the clearing, there was a house that Little Mouse had never seen before. His mom whispered in his ear, Little Mouse, I know you're sad to leave our house, but trust that you will learn to love this one just as much. Little Mouse did trust his parents, so when they scampered inside the new house, he followed them. And he looked around at this house as it was also beginning to become full of boxes just like his old house. And then he went to find his new room. When he got to his new room, he scampered all around it, exploring all the little nooks and crannies. He found boxes in his room, and he got busy unpacking them and putting all of his things away. When he did that, he found his favorite toy and his favorite green hat. Once most of his room was unpacked, he scampered outside to check out the yard and the forest. He saw plants he had never seen before, and he saw some plants he already knew. He realized it would just take him time, and soon he would get to know this forest just as well as the forest at his old house. Well, Little Mouse and his parents had to spend a couple days unpacking everything and taking everything out of the boxes, putting it away. It was very tiring. Little Mousie went to sleep and fell asleep fast each night. On the third night in his new house, he was sitting there in his bed, and he watched the evening sunlight as it made its way across the wall in his bedroom as the sun was setting. And he heard his parents coming to tell him good night, and he heard a little squeak in the floorboard outside of his room. Soon they came inside and they tucked him in, telling him they loved him. His mom nuzzled him close and whispered in his ear again, "I know this has been hard for you, Little Mouse, but I think you're learning to love this house." Little Mouse laid there in bed and realized that his mom was right. He would learn to love this house. In fact, he already was. Soon he would know the best place to cuddle up with a book in the chilly day. And he would know the best place to find mousy snacks and play hide and seek outside. It wasn't going to be so bad living here after all, thought Little Mouse. And he changed his poem that night as he lay in bed. I am a happy little mouse. I am learning to love this house. And all is well in the world. Thank you, fire fairies, for giving us your light. That was the story, Little Mouse's new house. I hope you enjoyed seeing that puppet show. It was pretty simple. It is fun to have puppet shows with you. Thank you for being here. Friends, this has been a lovely week of story time. I'm glad that we got to spend this week together. Have a lovely weekend. Know that you are loved.